Hi, friends. I know that nobody really likes to talk about money, maybe especially here in church. But when we do talk about money, and we do, are we really just talking about money? Are we just hinting at the edges or around the edges of something more important than dollars and cents? I mean, at best, the resources of our lives are just tools in the service of something greater. In the service of what I think is the story that our lives are telling. So, if you will indulge me for just a moment, allow me to lean into my Pentecostal roots as I testify to you, as I tell the truth to you about what I see as the story that we as Trinity Presbyterian Church are telling together. The story that Trinity is telling is about a people who have learned to love where they are. Now, Flower Mound isn't historical in any meaningful sense of the word or a traditional sense of the word. If it was, we would probably have already turned most of our sacred spaces into housing developments. What that means, though, is that we are a people who have learned to love this place for the people that make it a place. And that's not a bad thing. So the touchstones then of our lives are all the places where we go to love one another as God has so deeply loved us. These are the places where we exercise and learn, the places where we govern and gather, the places where we eat and play, the places we worship and pray. The story that we are telling together isn't only our story either. We've locked arms with our neighbors in different faith communities without hesitation or excuse. Whether a tragedy has brought us together or simply an invitation to a meal, we are learning to love one another as Christ has loved us. Rooted in the story that we know about ourselves, we can be genuinely who we are in relationship with people who have a different story and know that that is good and that that is holy. The story that Trinity is telling is a story of inclusion and of an ever-widening love and welcome. We are together making space for all God's children, recognizing that no one gets to be the gatekeeper for the kingdom except for Jesus. And he keeps on leaving the doors unlocked. Together we are learning how God's story is told through the lives of our LGBT neighbors and friends, and through the lives of our neighbors and friends of color. These stories might challenge and prod us and even reshape our story, and that too is a good and a holy thing, because our stories, each individually, are just threads in the larger narrative tapestry that Christ is weaving through our lives. The story that Trinity is telling is a story about care and concern and learning to love well. It's a story where nobody gets left out. I mean, that's why we tell stories, isn't it? To remember, so that nothing gets left out. And when things are broken, to retell a new tale. So when we partner with Denton County Friends of the Family, we're remembering all the women in our area who need a new story where abuse is replaced by love. As we partner with Hearts for Homes, we are remembering all the elderly in our county who might be writing a story that tells them that they've been forgotten and that they are disposable, and it rewrites that ending. As we come alongside Haiti Reforestation Partnership, we are walking with Haitians as they work to tell a new story of a transformed Haiti that provides fruit and lumber and in abundance for all God's people. When we support the work and the people of Kyle's Place, we are telling a new story over the lives of those homeless teens, a story that reminds them that they are loved by God and by us, and they are worthy of that love, and they were made for love. Friends, our lives can tell all sorts of stories. And our life as together as Trinity Presbyterian Church is a truly wonderful tale. It's a story that I am so blessed to be a part of, that Pastor Kelly, I know, feels so blessed to be a part of. You know, my kids are at the age where we're reading chapter books these days, and at the end of every night, our kids are so excited to see what happens the next day. And I know that this chapter in our life together has been hard. It has, and there's no way around that. But I gotta tell you, friends, I know who is writing our story. And I am so excited to see what happens next. Indeed, I'm even excited to see what happens at the end of this chapter of our story. And I pray that you will join me in writing our story together, of being partners with God and what God is doing in and around and through Trinity Presbyterian Church. We're going to be okay. So I hope that you will pledge your support to writing your bit of the story here through the ministry of this community into the next year. You can do that financially in a couple of different ways. One is to take a pledge card that will be sent to you. You can pick one up on Sunday. You can take that pledge card and you can fill it out and mail it back in. Or you can go to our website, www.tpcfm.org/stewardship, and you can find more information there about what's happening at Trinity and how our financial situation is, and you can make your pledge there online, no stamps needed at all. I hope that you'll give generously, friends, so that the unique voice of this community can be heard, so that we can shift the narrative in our place and in our time. Thanks be to God. Grace and peace to you.